My name is Kay. I'm a compulsive overeater, and abstinence is the most important thing in my life today without exception. And I weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the gray sheet, write them down, call them into my sponsor, and don't eat in between no matter what. And through God's grace, I've been able to do that since May the 30th, 1981. And I want to talk this morning with step 1 as kind of a background for my story. Step 1, we admitted we were powerless over food, that our lives had become unmanageable. In the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous on page 92, it tells us, tell him how baffled you were, how you finally learned that you were sick. Give him an account of the struggles you made to stop. I was a lifelong dieter. I started dieting when I was 5 years old because my mother was in charge of that. And my mother tried to get me to lose weight all the time that I lived at home. But I left home early at 14 to go to the convent. And while in the convent, I got away from my mother and I ate with abandon. And I gained a lot of weight. But I hated it. I hated being fat. So in the convent, I lost weight one time in order to wear the bridal gown that you wear to become a nun. And I lost 50 pounds by just refusing to take large servings of food. And then I started gaining it again. The next time I lost 60 pounds while in the convent, I asked to go on a low-calorie diet and was given permission. And pardon for mentioning food, but I asked for the low-calorie food of cottage cheese, and they ordered it for me. And I never ate so much cottage cheese in my life. And I lost 60 pounds that school year and came back to what we called the mother house in the summer to go to take classes, and nobody recognized me. It was so wonderful. I loved it. But I gained the weight again, and I went back to counting calories to lose it again before I left the convent. And I was so excited to meet my soon-to-be husband and dating and all that stuff that I didn't gain weight. And we got married in 1969, and I started gaining again. So I went to all kinds of things. I went to Weight Watchers many times, and I counted calories many times. I had this thing called a bite counter, where it looked like about the size of a cell phone, I guess, and when you took a bite, you'd press a button and a little red light would blink, and as long as that was blinking, you weren't supposed to take another bite. When it stopped, you could take a bite, press the button, and wait, and so forth. And I did that for about 2 weeks, and I said, I think I hear my apostat. That's what that was supposed to be doing, eating slowly enough so you could hear your apostat. And I said to my apostat, if I had one, oh, shut up. And I got up and got more food, and that was the end of that. And so that insanity of doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results kept on in my life until I met a person who was having my child over to play at her house, and she had a visitor, a beautiful, slender woman. And of course, I had to say something about it. I had to say, oh, you probably never had any trouble with your weight, did you? And she said, have you ever heard of Overeaters Anonymous? Well, that was in 81, and I did not I had not heard of Overeaters Anonymous, and I began on GreySheet the next day, and through God's grace in this program, I have been abstinent since then. I had to come to this program and stay to see my sickness. I was never able to admit that my life was unmanageable. I knew that I was powerless over food by the time I came. I knew that I was miserable, I was a slave to food, but I did not know that my life was unmanageable. I thought that my life was very manageable. I thought I could manage my life and your life and everyone else's life. I thought I was doing a really good job of all of that. And so I came and I stayed. Another thing that the big book says is on page 92, is show him the mental twist which leads to the first bite. Of course, I'm translating. And here are some of the mental twists that I had and that I have heard others have. Just one won't hurt. And this was something that I told myself. I'll just have one. And of course, it led to many more. I'll eat today and get right back on the diet. That was another lie. Now, this was my favorite one. This food has some of the same ingredients as the diet food, so it must be all right. I'll just go ahead and have it. Well, that was the first step towards falling off the diet totally. And then these are some that I've heard people say that led them to go out. I've measured long enough. Surely I can tell by now. I proved to myself over and over that I can't tell by now. And I've done it rather expensively sometimes, going to a restaurant and measuring and ordering a specific protein and seeing what they brought and saying, well, that certainly isn't enough, and immediately ordering another serving. Well, the first one was enough, so I had something to take home. Another one is, I don't have time for meetings. Well, that one is very dangerous, I believe. I have been blessed to have local meetings to attend ever since the beginning of my abstinence. And I have done a lot of service at those meetings, and I believe that these meetings have been a big part of what has kept me abstinent. The meetings is where I hear what I need to hear. At one of my first meetings, I heard someone say, well, I am trying to give up control. And I thought, why? I thought that was a good thing. Of course, it took me many years, and I'm still learning that control is not a good thing, and control is just part of my nature, and I will be battling that for the rest of my life. I've heard someone say, my sponsor is tired of hearing from me. Well, I don't believe that. As a sponsor, I know that I am so happy to hear from someone who has been gone. One time I was at the Malibu retreat, and we from Austin decided to stay over one more night, and we're staying at a hotel in Los Angeles, and I got a call from somebody that I used to sponsor. And I said when I answered the phone, have you called me on purpose, or was this an accident that you called me? No, she said, I want to start over. And that made my day. I was so happy to hear from her. And that's the same with anyone that I have sponsored who comes back. My sponsor and I are never tired of hearing from anyone. That's how we stay abstinent, is hearing from others. And then the last one I wrote down was, I ate, but I won't tell anyone. And that is the subject of my dreams. So, we say we have eating dreams. Well, part of my eating dreams when I've had them has always been that I won't tell anyone, and so no one will know. Of course, we know that that doesn't work at all, that honesty is the only thing that works in this program. Total honesty. Another thing that the Big Book tells us on page 30 and 31, the idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his eating is the great obsession of every compulsive eater. Here are some of the methods we have tried. Well, when I came to OA at the time, I was told to go to AA meetings because we only had one Gray Sheet meeting at the time, one a week. And so timidly, I went to AA meetings. I have never been an alcoholic. Well, maybe because I was in the convent, they really didn't let you indulge like that. But whatever. I was so scared that someone would see me and think I was an alcoholic. Of course, I realized after I got there that if I saw them there, that meant they were probably an alcoholic. So why would they be thinking bad things about me? But it took me a while. And in an effort to relate to the Big Book and to relate to alcoholics, I translated this paragraph on page 31. And here is my translation. I wrote it right down in my Big Book. Here are some of the methods we have tried. Eating one food only. Limiting the number of foods. Never eating alone. Never eating in the morning. Eating only at home. Never having it in the house. Never eating during business hours. Eating little at parties. Switching from junk food to healthy food. Eating only natural foods. Agreeing to resign if ever overeating on the job. Taking a trip, not taking a trip, swearing off forever with and without a solemn oath, taking more physical exercise, reading inspirational books, going to health forums and sanitariums, accepting voluntary commitment to asylums. We could increase the list ad infinitum. Well, I could say that I did every one of those, except I guess I didn't go to any health farms or sanitariums. But I did every other one. And none of them gave me the peace that I have with food now because of Gray Sheet abstinence. Gray Sheet abstinence is the most precious thing in my life. When I say my abstinence is the most important thing in my life, I can really mean that. I used to battle with that. I used to say, well, my husband is more important. My children are more important. My God is more important. But then I realized that my husband and my children and my God could not get my attention when I was in the food. I didn't want them around. They bothered me because I wanted to eat in peace. And that food obsession, that slavery, kept me from so many valuable things in life. So, yes, my abstinence is one of my greatest gifts. I'm going to end with another quote from page 92 that I liked. If he sticks to the idea that he can still control his overeating, tell him that possibly he can, if he is not too much of a compulsive eater. But insist that if he is severely afflicted, there may be little chance he can recover by himself. And that's what I believe about myself. I tried for 40 years to recover by myself, and I could not. I can only recover with the support of everyone in these rooms, with the support of my higher power, with meetings, with reading, with praying, with doing the steps, with all the things that we do for our abstinence. So I'll stop now and open it up for supporting one another by our sharing. Thanks.